I always thought betrayal would come like a slow crack, something you'd hear forming before it finally split you open. But mine arrived in one violent blink, right after our family reunion, while I was still standing beside my car with damp hair and lake water drying on my sleeves. I opened my banking app the way you open a door you've walked through 1,000 times, expecting nothing but familiarity. Instead, I froze. Balance, $0. 5 years of sacrifice. Gone, erased before I even made it home. Behind me, I heard a snort. A laugh I'd recognize anywhere. "Relax, Everly," my sister Madison drawled. We needed it more. The world tilted not from shock but from clarity. I reached for my bag, fingers trembling but steady in purpose. "Good," I whispered. "Then you won't mind what's coming next." She scoffed seconds before a thunderous bang shook the entire house behind us. Growing up, I used to believe families cracked the way old houses did gradually, with warning signs. A warped door, a sagging beam, a creaking step that tells you something underneath is giving way. But the truth is, some families don't crack. They rot quietly, from the inside out. Mine started with small things, whispers, comparisons, favors that were always, just this once, but never really once. My parents used to say Madison and I were different kinds of strong. I think they meant it as encouragement, but it always felt like an apology. Madison was the sun, warm, dazzling, impossible to look away from. People adored her without knowing why. She walked into a room and gravity shifted. And me? I was the one sweeping the kitchen, fixing the loose porch hinge, and pretending not to notice when she borrowed my clothes without asking. She was charisma. I was function. It didn't bother me when I was young. I thought that's just how sisters worked. But when we grew older, the differences sharpened into edges. While I worked 2 part-time jobs in college, Madison partied her way through 3 majors and dropped all of them. While I budgeted every dollar I made, she treated money like confetti, something you throw just to watch it fall prettily. And while I saved for the future, she lived like tomorrow would magically fund itself. Our parents called it a phase. I called it a warning. Then came the accident. The kind that steals both your parents in one night and leaves you sitting in a lawyer's office with shaking hands and a numb heart. I remember the smell of stale coffee, the ticking clock on the wall, the way the lawyer kept glancing between us as if trying to decide which one of us was more breakable. When he listed the assets, our childhood home, Dad's truck, the small emergency fund, they sounded like relics. Pieces of a life that had been warm only days ago. We each got a portion. I held on to mine like it was the last piece of them I had left. Madison burned through hers in 6 months. Trips, parties, a boyfriend named Chase who looked like he was auditioning for the role of walking red flag. When she finally called me crying because Chase accidentally maxed out her credit card, I wasn't surprised. But I was tired. From that point on, the divide between us grew quietly but relentlessly. I built my own studio from nothing, learned how to stretch $70 across 2 weeks, held on to every dollar because I knew what it took to earn it. Madison drifted from job to job, crisis to crisis, blaming the world for every bruise she gave herself. So when she invited me to the family reunion at the lake house, smiling like she had finally changed, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe we could fix something between us before it broke for good. And God, I wish that had been true, because standing there in the driveway with my bank balance reading 0, listening to her laugh in my face, I realized something that hit harder than the theft itself. This wasn't sudden. It was the final piece of rot finally collapsing, the kind that had been growing for years, and I had been too loyal, too hopeful, too blind to see it. If someone asked me when the trouble truly began, they'd expect me to say, the moment I saw my empty bank account. But no. It started earlier, quiet, subtle, almost polite in the days leading up to the reunion. 3 weeks before the lake house gathering, Madison called me out of nowhere. She never called. She texted. With emojis. And only when she needed something. But that evening, my phone lit up with her name. Madison. Hey Ev, got a sec? Her voice was strange, too sweet, too careful. The kind of tone she used with men she wanted something from. I should have hung up. Instead, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, like a fool who still believed in repair. She went on about wanting to reconnect, how family is all we have left, and how Uncle Gregory wants everyone together again. But then she slipped. Oh, by the way, You're doing really well, right? With your business? Well enough, I said cautiously. Like, really well? She repeated, her voice tightening. Madison, why? Just curious. She hung up right after, but something unpleasant had already settled in my stomach. Later that night, my cousin Liam texted me. You going to the lake house? If Maddie's involved, keep your eyes open. I asked him why. He only replied, you'll see. When I arrived at the lake house, the air smelled like pine, lake water, and something else, nostalgia mixed with dread. The cabin stood the same as always, with its peeling white paint and wraparound porch. But the energy was different. Madison greeted me first, arms wide, smile bright and brittle. Ev, you made it. Her hug was stiff. Her perfume was overwhelming, sweet, sugary, desperate. Inside, everyone seemed off. Uncle Gregory's laugh was too loud. Aunt Naomi kept wringing her hands. Liam avoided Madison's eyes like she was radioactive. Even the family dog Milo barked at her twice before hiding under a chair. Madison brushed it all off, chattering about how good it was to have everyone together again, how she'd been working on herself, and how things will be different now. But I saw it, the twitch in her smile, the glance she kept sending toward my bag, the way she flinched every time someone asked about her job. Over dinner, she asked again. So, Everly, how much do you actually make from your studio these days? Enough, I said. Enough to save? I put my fork down. Why are you asking? She shrugged, pretending it was nothing, but her cheeks flushed a guilty pink. Liam kicked me under the table. When I looked at him, he mouthed, "Don't say anything. Not here." Later that night, as I walked down the hallway toward my room, I heard muffled voices behind Madison's closed door. A man's voice. Sharp, impatient. Someone I didn't recognize. She won't suspect anything, Madison whispered. Just trust me. How much does she have? The man asked. Enough, Madison said. More than enough. My heart thudded once, heavy, warning, final. I backed away, afraid the floorboards would creak, afraid she'd open the door and see that I'd heard everything. I didn't know what was coming yet, but I knew one thing. Whatever Madison had planned, I was the target. By the second morning at the lake house, the air felt too still, like the whole place was holding its breath. I woke early, long before anyone else. Sleep had been thin and restless, full of half-dreams where someone stood at the end of my bed, watching. I couldn't shake the feeling even after I opened my eyes. My skin prickled with a warning I didn't yet understand. I pushed it aside. Or, at least, I tried to. I made coffee in the quiet kitchen, the kind of silence where every sound echoes. The cabin creaked, the fridge hummed. Outside, birds chirped like nothing in the world was wrong. But something was wrong. I felt it. When I carried my mug back to the guest room, the first thing I noticed was the door. It wasn't fully closed the way I'd left it, just slightly ajar, an inch, maybe less. I froze. At home, that wouldn't have meant anything. But here, with that conversation I overheard last night replaying in my mind, she won't suspect anything. It hit me like a slap. I pushed the door open gently. The room looked the same at first glance. Bed neatly made, bag by the nightstand, laptop on the dresser. I walked toward it slowly, too slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Then my heart plummeted. The laptop screen was tilted at a different angle. Not much, just enough to notice. I never leave it angled like that. I reached out and touched the hinge. It was warm. Someone had opened it recently. Very recently. My breath hitched. I tried to swallow, but my throat felt lined with sand. No, I whispered. No, no, no. I jiggled the trackpad, the login screen lit up. Someone had exited whatever they were doing. I clicked into the browser. History. Empty. Not no history. Wiped. And suddenly everything sharpened. The overheard whispers. Madison asking about my money. The strange man's voice. The door cracked open. It felt like a trap tightening around me. I checked my phone automatically, though I didn't know what I expected to find. Messages? Warnings? A miracle? Nothing. Then a floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around. Madison stood in the doorway, arms crossed, hair in a perfect messy bun, like she'd practiced the look in a mirror. Her eyes flicked to the laptop, then to me. "Why are you up so early?" she asked, voice too casual. I didn't answer. I couldn't look away from her expression, flat, bored, but with something sharp underneath. "Did you need something from my room?" I asked. She lifted a brow. "What? No. Why would I?" Her eyes darted left barely, but I caught it. A tiny tell, a guilty one. "The door was open," I said. My laptop was moved. Madison scoffed, but her throat tightened. "Everly, you're being paranoid." "Am I?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. For a split second, true panic flashed across her face, quick, fragile, unmistakable. She covered it with a smirk. "Relax," she said as she flipped her hair over her shoulder. "No one wants your boring little files." Then she walked off down the hall, humming like she hadn't just torn open the fabric of my trust. But I didn't move for a long time. I stood there staring at my warm laptop, my wiped history, my half-open door, and the hallway where my sister had just disappeared. And for the first time since arriving at the lake house, I felt afraid. Not of losing money, not of being betrayed, but of realizing Madison might be capable of things I'd never let myself believe. By the time the sun climbed over the lake, the cabin was awake and bustling. Pots clanged in the kitchen. Someone laughed in the living room. Madison's voice carried through the hallway, bright and breezy, as if she hadn't been lurking outside my room an hour earlier. I tried to shake it off, tried to tell myself I was imagining things, tried to be the reasonable one the way I'd always been taught. But my instincts wouldn't quiet. Around 9 a.m., I got a notification I'd been expecting. A reminder to approve a vendor payment for my studio. Routine, automatic. A simple tap. I sat on the edge of the bed, opened the banking app, and waited for the familiar blue loading screen. Instead, a red banner flashed. Payment declined. I frowned, hit retry. Declined again. My heart started knocking against my ribs, not panicked yet, but uneasy. I checked my Wi-Fi. Fine. Checked the App Store. No updates. Checked my phone storage. Barely half full. Then I thought of the laptop. The wiped browser history. The warm hinge. A cold streak ran through me. I went to the balances page. The app refreshed. Once. Twice. And then, balance. $0. My breath broke. My vision tunneled. No. I refreshed again. And again. Each time, the same brutal number glared back at me. 0, 0, 0. 5 years of work. Hundreds of client orders. Every late-night project. Every hour of overtime. Gone. I didn't know how long I sat there. My fingers went numb gripping the phone. My ears rang like someone had hit a tuning fork against my skull. Then, from the hallway, "Ev, you okay?" It was Emma, my cousin. Sweet, soft-hearted Emma. I stumbled out of the room like a ghost, phone still in hand. "My money," I whispered. "All my savings, it's gone." She blinked, thinking she'd misheard. "Gone?" I nodded, and the word finally ripped out of me. "Transferred. Everything." The kitchen fell silent. Pots stopped clattering. Conversations died mid-sentence. Chairs squeaked as people turned to look at me. Uncle Gregory stood up so fast his mug nearly fell. "What do you mean gone?" I held up my phone with shaking hands. "My account. Someone emptied it overnight." Gasps, murmurs, shocked faces. Everyone froze, except Madison. She didn't gasp. She didn't panic. She didn't ask if I was okay. She just stared at her coffee mug, swirling it slowly like she was waiting for the drama to reach her cue. And then she smirked. Just barely. But I saw it. "Did you call the bank?" Emma whispered. I did. My voice felt hollow, like someone else was speaking through me. They said the password was entered correctly. From a recognized device, a chill swept through the room. Recognized device. My laptop. I turned slowly toward Madison. She looked up at me with exaggerated innocence. "Why are you staring at me?" My voice cracked, but not from fear anymore. From clarity. "You were near my laptop yesterday." Her eyes flickered just once. "Were you in my room?" I asked quietly. The tension snapped like a pulled thread. Madison slammed her mug on the table. "Are you accusing me?" Her voice trembled, not with hurt, but with something far uglier. Liam rose from his chair. Emma moved beside me. Uncle Gregory's jaw locked. But Madison kept going, voice climbing, cracking. "You always think you're so righteous, so responsible, like you're the only one who deserves anything." I stepped forward. She stepped back. "Show me your phone," I said. Her breath hitched. "I don't owe you proof," she snapped. Then tell me you didn't touch my laptop, I whispered. Look me in the eyes and say it. She couldn't. Her lip trembled, and then, as if she'd been waiting for the perfect moment, Madison let out a laugh. Cold, cruel, triumphant. We needed it more than you. The room exploded, voices rising, chairs scraping, Emma shouting, Liam swearing, but all the noise blurred into nothing. Because in that moment, something in me hardened, shifted, sharpened. This wasn't a misunderstanding, nor a mistake, nor an accident. This was betrayal, calculated, deliberate, personal. And as Madison stood across from me, smirking like she'd finally won, I realized she had no idea who she just picked a fight with. For a long moment, everything in the cabin fell silent. The kind of silence that presses against your chest, waiting to see who will break first. Madison had already broken it, with that one sentence. We needed it more than you. I didn't move. Couldn't. My whole body went still, as if freezing was the only way to keep the rage inside me from tearing through the walls. She twirled her empty mug in her hand, acting bored, annoyed, inconvenienced by my shock, like my 5 years of savings were nothing more than a spilled drink she didn't feel like cleaning up. Madison, I said quietly, tell me you didn't drain my account. She rolled her eyes. Everly, stop embarrassing yourself. Liam stood abruptly, his chair scraping across the floor. Answer her. She shrugged. A little too lazily. A little too smug. Fine, she said. If it makes you feel better, no. I didn't drain your account. Her mouth said no. Her tone said absolutely yes. Uncle Gregory's voice boomed. Madison, this is serious. She snapped back. I know it's serious. You think I don't know that? Her voice wavered. Not with guilt. With panic. My panic. She was borrowing mine because she didn't have her own. I stepped closer. Then why did the bank say the logins came from a recognized device? Maybe your app glitched. My app has never glitched. She slammed her mug down again. Oh my God, Everly. Stop acting like you're the only one in this family who's allowed to have anything. You act so perfect. Perfect? I repeated slowly. For working? For saving? For not blowing my life up every 6 months? Her nostrils flared. You think I had it easy? You think I didn't struggle? I needed help. So you stole it. It's not stealing if we share the same blood. The room gasped. Aunt Naomi whispered, horrified. What did you just say? But Madison wasn't done. Her dam had cracked, and the flood was ugly. I deserved that money, she screamed. Mom always said you'd take care of me. You owe me. Everything you earn, you owe it to me. My heart slammed into my ribs. Not from the words themselves, but from the realization that she meant every one of them. Madison truly believed my life belonged to her. Madison, I said softly, look at me. She refused. Look at me. She did, and in that moment, I saw the truth. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't sorry. She was angry she'd been caught. I took a slow breath. Show me your phone. Her face drained of color. No. Then show me your banking app. She stepped backward. Absolutely not. She was unraveling. And the unraveling was loud, messy, frantic. Give me my money back, I said. I can't. Horror flashed across her face. She hadn't meant to say that. Not out loud. Not in front of everyone. Uncle Gregory caught it instantly. Why can't you? Madison backed up until her spine hit the counter. Tears filled her eyes, but not the soft, remorseful kind. These were sharp, angry, trapped animal tears. Because it's gone, okay? She spat. It's all gone. My stomach dropped. Where is it? Her breath shuddered. Then she whispered the last thing I ever expected her to admit. I paid him back. Actually, is an amender in the frames of the better protections? The room stilled. Emma whispered. Paid who back? Madison closed her eyes like the truth burned. Someone I owed. I heard the words but didn't understand them, not at first. Not until the fragments clicked, one brutal piece at a time. The man's voice behind her door. The hushed argument. Her asking how much I earned. Her sudden desire to reconnect. Her panic now. She hadn't drained my account because she needed help. She drained it because she was drowning in debt. And she used me as her rope. Tell me his name, I said. She shook her head. Madison. She whispered it so quietly I almost missed it. He's not someone you want to know. I stepped forward, fury roaring inside me. You had no right. I had no choice, she screamed back. Her voice echoed off the walls. Her shoulders shook. Her mascara streaked like bruises across her cheeks. Then she pointed at me, accusing, trembling, pathetic. You think you're better than me. That's why you saved. That's why you're stable. That's why everyone trusts you. Well, guess what? I needed it more. And then she said it again, quieter this time, but deadlier. I needed it more. But I didn't flinch. Not anymore. Something inside me, something patient, loyal, hopeful, died in that moment. And something harder replaced it. I reached for my bag. Her eyes widened. What are you doing? I looked at her, unblinking, holding you accountable. Her breathing quickened. Everly, don't. I zipped the bag slowly, deliberately. Oh, Madison. You're going to regret everything you did today. Fear flashed across her face for the first time. And that's when the cabin's fragile calm finally shattered. The moment I reached for my bag, Madison's entire demeanor shifted. Her arrogance flickered. Her composure cracked. Her breath hitched like she'd been expecting this, but praying it wouldn't come. And that prayer was about to go unanswered. I pulled the strap over my shoulder slowly, deliberately, never breaking eye contact. Madison whispered, Everly, don't do anything stupid. I let out a humorless laugh. Stupid? Madison, draining my life savings was stupid. I tightened my grip. This is justice. She lunged toward me, but Liam stepped between us. You're not touching her. His voice thundered, deeper than I'd ever heard. Madison's panic sharpened into rage. Get out of my way! No. Her chest rose and fell too fast. Her fingers twisted. Her eyes darted between me and the front door like she was trying to calculate escape routes. Uncle Gregory stepped closer. Madison, what exactly are you afraid she's about to do? She didn't answer. Couldn't. Because she knew the answer long before anyone else did. I took a step past Liam, facing her fully. You said you needed my money. A step closer. You said you owed someone. Another step. You said it wasn't stealing. Madison pressed her back against the kitchen counter, cornered. Everly, please. Her voice cracked like thin ice under heavy boots. Tell me his name, I demanded. She shook her head violently. I can't. Her fear wasn't of me anymore. It was of him, whoever he was. And that terrified me more than losing every dollar I'd ever saved. I slid my hand into my bag, not rushing, not hesitating. Her eyes widened. Everly, stop. You won't mind what's coming next, I repeated softly, the same words I'd given her outside. Her lips parted. A soft gasp escaped. You wouldn't dare. I tilted my head. Try me. She surged forward again, but Emma grabbed her arm. Let her go, Madison. You caused this. You don't understand. Madison choked out, twisting, pulling, fighting the grip. If she calls anyone, if she involves anyone, he'll kill me. The room froze. Absolutely froze. My stomach dropped. My hand slipped out of my bag. The silence afterward felt like the air had turned solid. Who? I whispered. Who are you afraid of? Madison sobbed once, a short, broken sound, and shook her head like a child refusing to face a nightmare. He said. Her voice shattered. He said if I didn't get the money, he'd come here. Aunt Naomi covered her mouth. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Liam muttered a curse under his breath. But it was Uncle Gregory whose voice cracked the silence. Madison, did you drag this entire family into danger? She didn't deny it, just collapsed into herself. And then, thud, a sound outside. Heavy, close. Madison flinched so violently she nearly fell. He's here, she whispered. Oh God, he found us. Every muscle in my body locked. Madison, I said sharply. Who is he? I can't tell you, she screamed. If I say his name? What? I barked. He'll kill you? Kill me? Is that what you brought to this house? Her knees buckled. She clung to the counter. Outside, gravel crunched. Someone was walking toward the cabin. Slow, deliberate, purposeful. Uncle Gregory moved toward the window. Everyone stay back. Madison whined like a wounded animal. It's him, please, Everly. Don't answer the door, don't. But I wasn't listening to her. I was listening to the footsteps. They got louder, closer, right up to the front porch. Emma clutched my hand. Liam grabbed a poker from the fireplace. Madison covered her ears, muttering, He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. And then, boom! A violent, thunderous crash shook the entire cabin. The walls trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. A framed photo fell off the mantel and shattered. Madison screamed. Someone else did too, maybe me. The front door flew open so hard it slammed into the wall. Cold air blasted through the house. A shadow filled the doorway. Tall, broad, breathing hard. For a split second, no one moved. No one breathed. And then, a voice roared. Nobody move. But it wasn't a criminal. It wasn't a debt collector. It wasn't him. It was the police. Madison fainted on the spot. Madison hit the floor before the echo of the door slam even faded. Her knees buckled, and she dropped with a strangled cry, hands over her head as if expecting bullets instead of officers. The police surged into the cabin in a formation so swift and sharp it sucked all the air out of the room. "Police! Stay where you are." Emma clung to my arm, trembling. Liam froze with the fireplace poker still clutched in his fist. Uncle Gregory raised both hands slowly, calmly. And me? I didn't move. I couldn't. My entire body locked in place as adrenaline roared in my ears like white noise. A woman stepped forward, tall, sharp-shouldered, with a badge clipped to her belt and a file tucked under her arm. Her voice cut through the chaos. "Which one of you is Everly Hart?" I swallowed hard, lifted my hand. "I am." Her gaze flicked instantly to me, assessing, calculating, grounding. She nodded once. "Detective Rowan Hayes. We need to speak with you." Madison whimpered on the floor. "Please don't let him in. Please don't let him." Detective Hayes frowned. "Let who in?" Madison just shook her head violently, rocking like a child in a nightmare. But Hayes didn't spare her another second. Her focus locked onto me. She opened the file. Inside were printed screenshots, time logs, and something else, a photo of my laptop screen. I felt my blood go cold. "Your bank flagged overnight transfers from your account," Hayes said. "Large amounts moved in multiple rapid transactions." I nodded shakily. "I know. They said it came from a recognized device." Her eyes sharpened. "It did. We traced the origin to this address." Every pair of eyes in the room swung toward Madison. She curled in on herself, hair hanging over her face, whispering something unintelligible. Hayes continued. "We obtained a cyber report from your bank. Your laptop sent out keystrokes between 2:14 a.m. and 3:03 a.m. Facial recognition security software captured images of the user." My heart nearly stopped. Hayes turned the file toward me. My breath ripped out of my lungs. On the page was Madison, sitting at my laptop, her face illuminated by the screen, eyes focused, jaw tight, typing. Hayes turned the next page, a full timestamp report. Another photo, another. 23 in total, each one undeniable, each one damning. Emma gasped. Aunt Naomi burst into tears. Uncle Gregory closed his eyes like a man witnessing something beyond repair. But Madison finally lifted her head. Her mascara streaked, her eyes feral, her breath shaking. "You don't understand," she screamed. "I didn't have a choice. I had to do it." Detective Hayes crouched beside her. "Madison Hart, stand up." Madison shook her head violently. "No, you can't make me go back to him." Emma's voice cracked. "Maddie." "Who?" Madison crumbled further, hugging her knees. "He said he'd kill me. He said he'd kill me if I didn't pay him back. I didn't know what else to do. Everly had the money. She always has the money, she doesn't need it like I do." The words spilled like sewage bursting from a pipe. Hayes stood slowly. "Madison Hart, you are under arrest for financial fraud, identity misuse, and unauthorized access to a protected device." Madison screamed, a raw, shrill, panicked sound. No, please, you don't get it. He's out there. He's waiting for me." Hayes nodded to an officer. He pulled out handcuffs. Madison scrambled backward on the hardwood floor, knocking over a chair. I stepped toward her. For the first time, she looked straight at me. Her eyes were wild, terrified, pleading, broken. "Everly," she whispered. "Please don't let them take me." Something deep inside me twisted. All the childhood memories, the birthday sleepovers, the nights we whispered jokes in the dark, the times she braided my hair, none of them were enough to bridge the chasm she had carved between us. I knelt in front of her, our faces inches apart. Her breath came fast and sharp. "Maddie," I whispered. "You didn't just steal my money." Her lip quivered. "You stole my trust. You stole our parents' memory. You stole every chance I ever gave you." Her tears spilled harder. "I didn't want to lose him," she choked. "He said he'd hurt me, and you decided to hurt me first," I said softly. She froze. A single, shattered inhale. Then the officer pulled her up, snapping the cuffs around her wrists. She didn't fight anymore. She didn't scream. She just hung there, limp, defeated, ruined. As they led her toward the door, she looked back at me one last time. Not with hatred. Not with entitlement. Not even with fear. But with something worse. Recognition. The realization that she had destroyed the one person who ever would have saved her. Detective Hayes turned to me. "We'll recover as much of your funds as possible. You did the right thing calling this in." I nodded, though everything inside me felt like glass. Outside, the sunlight reflected off the cruiser windows. Madison disappeared behind the door. The engine started, the driveway gravel crunched, and just like that, my sister was gone. The cabin felt impossibly quiet after the police car rolled down the gravel drive, as if the entire structure had exhaled, releasing a weight it had been holding for far too long. The silence wasn't peaceful. Not yet, but it was clean, honest. Something the Hart family hadn't been in years. I stood in the doorway long after the cruiser disappeared around the bend, the cold wind slipping through my sweater sleeves, brushing against my skin in a way that felt unsettlingly like grief. Emma approached first, placing a warm hand on my shoulder. "Everly, are you okay?" I didn't know how to answer that. My body felt both heavy and light, like someone had removed a burden only to reveal bruises underneath. "I don't know," I whispered. And it was the truest thing I'd said all week. Uncle Gregory came next, clearing his throat in that careful way of men who want to comfort but aren't sure how. "You did the right thing," he said. "What Madison did, we'll deal with it together. Together." The word hit me harder than I expected. After everything that had shattered between us, the idea of together felt fragile, something that needed to be held gently, like a cracked piece of pottery you weren't sure would survive another drop. But I nodded anyway. The days after, the next week blurred into a strange mix of phone calls, meetings, and long quiet hours that felt like waking up in a house that wasn't mine. Detective Hayes called with updates. Most of the money was recoverable. Some of it had already been frozen. Some had vanished into debts they were tracing. Every time the phone rang, my stomach clenched. Every time she said, "We're making progress," I exhaled a breath. I didn't know I was holding. I didn't cry over the money. I cried over the betrayal. Because it wasn't the dollars Madison took from me. It was the years, the trust, the childhood we'd shared, the belief that no matter how messy she was, she'd never hurt me on purpose. I was wrong. And accepting that hurt more than anything. Madison's fallout. Her arraignment came quietly. The judge denied bail after learning the extent of her digital intrusion and the threats she'd been under. The mystery man, the one Madison owed, was still out there somewhere. But Detective Hayes assured us he was being tracked. "We'll find him," she said. "And when we do, he won't touch your sister again." Strangely, that part comforted me more than knowing my savings would return. Because even after everything Madison did, I didn't want her dead. I didn't want her hunted. I just wanted her gone from my life. Safe. But far away. A new quiet. I returned home with the same duffel bag I arrived with, but left the lake house feeling 10 years older. My studio felt different, too brighter. Somehow. A place untouched by family rot. I spent a late afternoon reorganizing fabric samples, sorting invoices, touching each object like I was relearning my space, one item at a time. Liam visited once, dropping off groceries like I was made of glass. Emma stopped by with a blanket she claimed I'd definitely need for emotional recovery, even though she knew I ran hot and rarely used blankets. Uncle Gregory insisted on fixing the broken lock on my back door, even though I told him it had been broken for months, and I never cared. But they cared, and that mattered more than I expected. Slowly, the edges inside me softened. The lake house reset. 3 weeks later, the family returned to the lake house without Madison. This time, not for a reunion, but to reclaim the space. We repainted the porch rails, replaced the broken window Madison had slammed the day she learned Chase cheated, opened every curtain, letting sunlight flood the halls that had felt so suffocating before. Emma brought pastries. Liam brought beer. Uncle Gregory told corny jokes he hadn't told since we were teenagers. And for the first time in years, the place didn't feel haunted. It felt liberated. The final lesson. One evening, I stood alone on the dock, toes touching the surface of the water, watching the ripples shimmer gold in the afternoon light. Madison's laughter still echoed in distant corners of my memory, the warm childhood version, not the cold, venomous one before her arrest. I let both versions exist. I didn't push either away, because healing wasn't erasure. It was acceptance. The good didn't excuse the bad. The bad didn't erase the good. They were both true. But one thing was truer. Blood doesn't give anyone the right to hurt you. Boundaries do. And for the first time, I had mine. Clear, strong, unshakable. I turned back toward the lake house, where my family, the real parts of it, laughed around a grill. Voices warm, safe, familiar. For the first time in a long time, I walked toward them without feeling like a shadow. I walked toward them like someone whole,